I'm starting a new project. This is an Amazon package that we got in the mail. It was about twice as long as it is now, and I cut it in half. And this crinkly thing is going to be the backing of my new journal. For this journal, I'm inspired by Lynn of A Bit of Birdsong. She has a really wonderful, crazy, I use that in the best sense of the term, just a crazy, wild way of doing some of her journals. And she has an art journal that she did, a similar one on a bag. And it just is, I wish I could explain it better. I think I need to stop right here and just explain what I mean by crazy, because I certainly don't want to offend anybody with my use of the word. When I think of Lynn's artwork, I think of, let's just play a little bit here. Let's say crazy. Crazy. Like Patsy Cline, crazy. So, when I think of crazy, I think not what you expect. Say you expect to have blue and pink together, or blue and light blue together, or blue and white together. But you probably wouldn't expect to have blue and green, maybe, or blue and purple, or blue and orange, or blue and bright yellow. Some things that we think of being kind of on the edge a little bit, a little edgy. Edgy, that's a good word. We'll put that down too. Unusual, that's again, not what you expect. It's unusual. Colorful. Not just plain neutral colors. You think of something colorful as being, oh, that's crazy. Ooh, I like that. Fancy free. I misspelled it. Fancy free. F-A-N-C-Y. I was making up a new word. Francy. Combining the two. Fancy free, I think of it just being lighthearted and carefree and playful too. That's another word I thought of. Playful. Fun. Yes, having fun with it. Lynn is big on that. You can tell when she's doing her art that she is very much having fun. Another one is off-kilter, something that's a little different than usual. Kilter is an unusual word, maybe, and it's a word I grew up with. It just means kind of cattywampus. I guess I'm defining kilter with cattywampus, which is a little bit maybe not known to everybody. It just means off balance, not balanced, or whatever. Just a little bit different. Experimental. Lynn is big on experimental. She will try things and see what happens when she mixes watercolors with gelato pens, or mixes watercolors with acrylics, or adds in some water over something in her book to thin out the colors or the base or the paint. Unusual, out of the norm. It's not normal what you see. The preciseness of it, it's more exciting. That's another word I had, exciting. Exciting with colors, or exciting with doing something different. Say, instead of painting on a page, you might tear the page, or cut holes in the page, or do something like that. And also, another thing that she does is she uses unexpected items. Whoops. For art supplies. And an example of that would be using the corrugation of cardboard as a stamp. So anyway, that's what I mean when I say crazy. I mean these wonderful things. Exciting, unusual, out of the norm, fun, colorful, edgy, not what you expect, playful, off-kilter. And I just mean by that, kind of not what you expect, out of the norm too. And using unexpected items for art supplies. And experimental, not being afraid to try. Let's put unafraid on here, because that's part of it too. Unafraid to try things, because you're doing something that's not, say, sanctioned by the art police, if there's such a thing, which there's not. I'm afraid to try something unusual, something that's maybe not an art supply. Just see what happens. Be unafraid that you're going to ruin your work. You don't worry about ruining your work. You're playing and you're having a good time. So that's what I mean by crazy. Now we'll go back to the program. She's very wild and free in her artwork and has that loose style that I admire so much, because I tend to be like my mother and make everything perfect. I fight that because I really enjoy the looseness of other people's works. So anyway, that's why I decided to make this journal. What I've done is place some fabrics down on this side of, this is going to be the outside of the journal, and I've glued some of it down. I still need to glue some more down. And then I'm going to take it to my sewing machine and stitch it down. And what Lynn did was she made these loops and swirls and things. And I don't know if I'm going to do it exactly that way or not, or if I'm going to be more, you know, pedantic and go around each little piece. But I still have a little bit to glue. I'm just gluing this down with some turbo tacky glue, which dries a little faster than the normal tacky glue. And I've glued a good bit of it down already. And I'm not being like here. I'm just doing a little bit to keep it in place till I can sew it down so it doesn't get away from me on the machine. So I'm just spreading it a little bit and placing it there. And I don't even know that all of it has to be down too precisely. I just want it to be where it doesn't shift on me and get bunched up. This piece of fabric had this little fold in it, and it was kind of almost like it had been pressed. It wasn't, but I decided to just leave it there just for a little texture on that. And this rooster's head was cut off. I used that fabric to make an apron for a friend, and his head got cut off. So I found this other rooster he's a little bigger than this rooster, but I kind of pieced it together so he'd have a head and not just be headless. The headless rooster man. So I'm just going to put a little glue here and get the rest of this tacked down. And what I plan to do for this journal is just to use it as a place to play, try out art techniques, drawing or painting or whatever I feel like doing, and learn to be a little bit freer with my artwork. So anyway, that is my plan. We'll see how it goes. And I think this one is still, wait a minute, is that stuck down? That's stuck a little bit, so I think it's okay. Let's see. Hopefully, I'm saying I want to be loose and free, and then I'm thinking, hopefully I got this on here straight. That's me for you. I learned it from my mother. And then this piece is, I'm going to put that there. That's maybe too many chickens for my book, but we'll start out with them. I may end up putting something else over that at some point. But I'm going to go ahead and put some glue on it and stick it down a little bit so that it's not going to shift on me. Get back to that glue before it starts running out the end. Anyway, I appreciate Lynn sharing her ideas because I find her very inspiring in that way. And you can learn something from different kinds of artists. And I think that's one thing that's so great about junk journaling. You can incorporate all kinds of different ideas and ways of doing things. And none of it's wrong. Nobody's going to say, well, you can't do that. That's not the right way to do it. So I think it's really freeing and wonderful. So then on the back, I'm going to use this fabric. This was a skirt my mother made for me when I was in high school, so that was a long time ago. And I just thought I'd just cover up the brown paper. And I don't think Lynn covered up all of her brown paper, but apparently I am covering mine up. I'm just going to go ahead and put some glue on this because I think I just want the stitching to go through all the layers at one time. So if I stitch this first, then I guess I could do the other side, and that would be okay. But since I already glued the other side down, I'll just go through both layers at once. But I think this envelope is really, it's really fun because it's so crinkly. So it will have lots of good crinkles to enjoy. And I've already got that glued to the front side, so I'll just go this side. And I'm using this is a makeup spreader, or mask spreader, I think is what they called it, that I got at Dollar Tree. And it's handy to have. I probably mentioned it before in my other videos. You've probably seen me using it. And I'm just going to put a little bit up here to hold that in place. But not that much. Okay. And that's hanging over the edge right now. I mean, it could still hang over the edge, or it could be folded back to this inside like that. That might be fun to do. I don't know. I may think about that. This I don't think I'll keep, but it might be fun. I don't know. So, anyway, I'm going to stop the video and go and stitch this and come back later. It's been several days since I filmed the first part of this video, and I finished the cover design and stitching and everything. Let me just take the pages out and show you the cover. What I did is I put this fabric on the inside. I glued it down to the envelope. And on this side, I had my pieces placed down, and I glued them enough to hold it in various places till I could go to the sewing machine. And what I did is I did what Lynn talked about. I just kind of went in whirly circles and things. Some, like up here, it's brown thread, so you can't really see it up in this, but on some of these places you can. And I didn't sew over the rooster's faces or the chicken's faces, whatever. After I got this side sewn, I turned it over, and I decided that I wanted to fold these two pieces, or these two pieces that extended up over the edge. And I decided that would make a pretty neat little up-tuck right there, like for a card or something to go up under there. I cut a piece of index card when this was still up there. I just laid the index card up under it and just drew the shape. And then I cut it out and I glued the index card to this fabric still up here. And then I folded it over. Well, actually, I stitched it around it first. And then I folded it down and stitched it across there, so that there's an up-tuck there. And then on the bottom, I had all this piece left. And I decided that the back this is deep enough to make a nice little pocket back there. And I thought about just stopping it here, but then I decided I kind of like this just as an embellishment there. So I just stitched that down and stitched the edge of the page, or the cover. And I ended up stitching all the way around the cover. This is frayed and kind of raggedy, and I kind of like that. If it gets too annoying, I'll trim it off. I left the threads. I don't know that I like that, but I thought I'd give it a chance to grow on me. And we'll see how that goes. And some places it's up like that, but it's stitched right there, so I'm not going to worry about that. This is going to be a journal that I can play in and experiment. And I want it to be kind of loose and free and not too uptight like I tend to want to be when I do things. I want to make it straight, make it perfect. And I kind of want to loosen up on that a little bit. So that's my plan on that. And then these pages are the ones I selected to put in here. This was a packing slip for some Christmas presents I bought from Land's End. And I didn't really want all that stuff to show too much. So I just glued down some fabric paper there. And I can paint over it or do whatever. That's just a piece of sketchbook paper. That's a page out of on the back, actually, off of a quilting magazine. Coffee dyed grid dot paper. This page is mixed media paper for acrylics and oils is what it is. And it has this linen texture on this side, but this side is smoother. And what I did is what I'm going to do to another piece of paper here in a second, is I just glued this fabric on there to attach the two sides and make it where the paper isn't folded in the middle there and have that extra bulk in there. This fabric it's thinner. And that's, I think that's coffee, a tea dyed, or maybe some food coloring in it. Music page. That's a sketchbook page. This is a scribble page. It's a page out of a needlework magazine from 1988. This is just a piece of brown packing paper that's all crinkled up. It's waxed paper and has some gold paint splattered on it. That's a piece of notebook paper, or it's actually out of a spiral notebook that I was trying out, or I think I was getting the paint off my brayer that I was playing with. And so it has that on it. And this is just a food color dyed with some tea or coffee in it. This page is one I did on a piece of freezer paper that I had been protecting my desk and painting off on it. And I followed a tutorial that I saw, and it's how to make like handmade paper, faux handmade paper out of freezer paper. And what you do is you stamp it or do whatever you want to do on here. I think she put some tea leaves and some other things on hers. This is mainly just stamping that I did on it, and put a piece of tissue paper down on it. Then you cover it with a piece of parchment paper and set your iron on a linen setting or high setting, and you just press over it until it all sticks together. And that plastic melts and sticks to the tissue paper. And then you trim off the excess, and it's like a piece of handmade paper. It has this texture on it from the plastic shrinking, I think is what happens, and it gives it that texture, which I think is pretty neat. Anyway, so this has other pages with, the other side of the page is all the way back. And I want to add one more page in here, and I covered up the personal information on this with a little collage work with some scraps I had. I didn't explain how I got this texture on this. It's a packing slip that came with the order I had at Christmas with Lansy, and my bracelet's making noise. I apologize for that. I bought this, I think it's called a crimper. The brand is Marvy, and it has this, it opens up. It has rollers in there, like a old-fashioned washing machine wringer, except it has these grooves on it. And you insert your paper into the grooves. Hopefully I can do this and make it work. And then you just turn this crank on the side and run the paper through. And it comes out with this corrugated type ridges on it. So that's how I got that page. And it kind of flattens out a little bit when I glued it and put the tissue paper on it. It got a little flatter than it was before, but that's basically how I did that. I thought I'd go ahead and show you how I'm going to, these are two pieces of watercolor paper, and I have this piece of the inside fabric, and I'm just going to glue it down between these two pieces, and then it can be sewn into this. Or I haven't decided if I'm going to sew it in yet, or I'm going to put elastic around it and make it where I can take the pages out, in and out for working on them, or just how I'm going to do that. I'm going to do about a 1/2 inch on this, I think, to glue that fabric down. This is Turbo Tacky Glue, Aleen's brand, and it dries quicker than the regular tacky glue. I like it. This dispenser, I cut the tip off a little too close, and so a lot comes out at one time. So that's my only complaint about that. And I probably should have something under that, because it's probably going to go out. I just don't want it on my mat. I took the plastic out because I didn't want it to be in my way, and then, of course, I need it now. Okay. I just want it to be over the edge there pretty good so that it sticks to that fabric on the edge. Okay. On the other one that I did, I ended up with not any fabric sticking up at the top, and I kind of like the look of the fabric sticking up at the top, so I'm going to pull this out so I can see where I'm lining it up, getting it straight-ish. There I go again with straight, but I think that needs to go over a little bit more. See if I can do that. Okay, there's a little glue on that, but I think it'll be okay. So I have more sticking up at the top. There'll be that little bit sticking up and a little bit sticking down. So, and when that glues, I'm going to put it in the book. And I don't know exactly where I'm going to put it in here yet, but probably a little distance away from that page. So maybe somewhere in here, perhaps. About there. That probably would be a good place to put it. I'm not too sure about this scribble page in here. It's pretty thin paper. And I'm wondering if maybe if I coffee dyed it, it would make it, you know, when you coffee dye paper, it gets a new texture. It's, I think it makes the fibers of the paper kind of swell up or something because it makes it feel thicker than just the paper before it's dyed. So I may do that with that. But anyway, I thought I'd show you the progress on this, and I'm looking forward to getting into working on it and seeing how I do with being wild and crazy like Lynn was in her video. And I say that with the utmost respect because I really think she has a wonderful style and enthusiasm for her work, and I just admire that in her, and I appreciate her sharing her videos with the rest of us and her ideas. So anyway, that's going to be it for today. Thanks so much for watching. I hope to see you next time. If you think about it and want to, give me a thumbs up, and I appreciate that too. Bye.